Hey guys, coming at you here with a round of King's conflict between the Blessed King and the Warrior King. Now this combination is kind of interesting because the Blessed King can only take 1 damage per attack, and the Warrior King is fairly focused on strong attacking units. So the way this plays out is pretty interesting. Let's have a watch. So it starts with red player's turn, and he is going to summon Oaken Hearts in the forest in front of him there. And that's pretty much going to control that side for the remainder of the game. That's not much you can do to get past those deserts and also fight the Oaken Hearts. He also summoned another unit there on the left. We'll talk about that in a second. It's blue turn now, and he's going to move his king up. Pretty typical. You want to do that at the beginning of every round if you can. He wants to summon the men-at-arms there. And then he wants to place another one right above him. And now each of those can make a strategic move on their next turn. It's important to place with a plan to move your units next turn. Now it's passing it back to red turn here. And the red player has 16 gold to start with. He's going to be able to move his stonemasons up there adjacent to the mountains. And there it is. And next he's going to place a unit, and here's a quick little mistake he made. He placed that on the road. What he should have done is place it just 1 tile south of his Oaken Hearts so that it could own that plains territory and earn him just a little more gold. That might have helped him out in this round. Now, blue player has a King's Wrath. He's going to be able to snipe any card of his choosing. Well, he's going to be able to snipe that card right there, and that's going to be a huge benefit for him. Had the other player gotten that stonemason into the mountains, he could generate walls and be placing those all over the place. He could own both deserts, generating 20 gold a turn. And when a Blessed King has that sort of economy, it is really an uphill battle. So the blue player here is focusing on economy. He's moving his king around to take advantage of that forest and possess as much land as he possibly can. The more gold he can get his hands on, the better. So it's shooting back to the red player's turn here, and because he only owned 2 territories instead of 3, he only generated 7 gold. He could have had 9, not a huge difference, but it is some difference. So he's going to move his king, and he has 4 cards in his hand. It's important not to get attached to the cards in your hand when you can't play them. Smart move would have been to burn one right away, but he's a little bit of a newer player and he didn't burn any of them. So it's back to the blue player's turn here, and he's going to start the turn the way you should start pretty much every turn, and that is moving his cards around, moving his units to new positions. That gives you a better feel for how the rest of your card play will go. So he moved that into the hills, and then he moved his king back onto the road. That has him in control of a few more tiles and just a little bit more gold, and he's really scratching for every bit of gold he can get. He intends to win this battle economically, and that's a smart move. Economy is a huge part of King's conflict. So now he only has 9 gold, not enough to play anything he has, but he's going to burn this commander, which adds half its gold cost to his treasury. You see now he has 19, and that allows him to play this Viking warriors in that northern mountain range. And not only does he own that mountain range now, but he's also possessing that desert, and that's going to generate 10 gold by itself. So while it does damage units to have them in the desert, it's pretty substantial the amount of gold that he's going to earn just from that alone. So it's back to the red player's turn, and he's going to move his king up a spot. Here he's going to make a smart move and move his servant down to the plains. It's going to get him just a little more gold, and he's going to play a blessing on his king. Again, probably should have burned a card, but he goes ahead and passes it back to the blue player. So the blue player has 32 gold, not enough gold to do anything he wants, but he's getting there. He's going to first move his men-at-arms back, and the reason he does that is so he can place his gold mine in the most secure place in his mountain range that he can. And that gold mine is going to hold the mountain range, generating gold, and then it's going to generate 12 gold all by itself. So he's got a great economic position for this game at this point. He's going to move some of his units up. These are offensive moves. He's pretty aggressive throughout the whole game, and that's going to make sense with the amount of attacks he has to levy against the Blessed King to take him down. You're going to see that later. So the Red King is on his turn again. The Blue King is monitoring gold income. That's 34 for the blue player, and the red player is only generating 8. So with the 3 territories he controls now only generating 8, and now he just sacrificed one. You're going to see why moving his priest up there was a terrible mistake that kind of makes this game almost decided at that point, but there's certainly ways to come back from making mistakes in King's Conflict. As you see here, the blue player is going to figure it out, and he's going to look at how the territories are owned. He doesn't have to make an attack to take out a unit. What he's going to do is contest that region that the Blessed King is in by moving his unit onto it, and that is going to put him in a state of starvation. You see in the top left that flashing red apple indicates that he's eating 3 out of only 2 food that he's producing. So his units are going to be starving at the beginning of his turn, taking damage, starting with the ones farthest from the king, and unfortunately his priest only has 1 health. So you see the blue player move his soldier up to the border of that desert, and that's going to put him in an aggressive position as well. So you see the famine damage there takes that red servant right out. He's out of the game. Of course, he's not eating anymore, so his food shortage is taken care of, but that's not the way you'd like to have that happen, I'm sure. He only has 3 gold, but he has a handful of cards. Should choose something to burn here, but he moves forward very aggressive, the red player as well. He should be retreating, but he's probably got a plan for those cards in his hand, if only he can get the gold to use any of them. And that will pretty much decide the game, whether or not he can get gold. See here he's burning a gold mine. That produces gold, but not if you can't keep it safe in the mountains. And he certainly couldn't at this point, so that was probably a good move to burn that. Now it's back to the blue player's turn. He's going to generate one of these blessing cards every turn with that priest he has in play. And what he plays first is going to go ahead and play the monstrosity. That's going to take that red region away from the king, and the reason he plays it to the rear instead of the front is that monstrosity has to move before he can attack. So he can only attack if he just moved, and it actually makes more sense to put him at the rear and allow him to move forward than to kind of crowd him on the front line. You can easily stop him from being able to attack by limiting the way he can move if you're an opponent of someone using a monstrosity. So here the blue player is going to end his turn and allow his soldier there to do combat with the Blessed King. Blessed King's going to do 1 damage, he'll do 1 damage. Not a whole lot changed there. Back to the red player's turn. He has 15 gold, but his fire's not lit. He can't burn a card because he burned one last turn. So he's going to generate 2 gold based on the oaken hearts in his forest, but the only other thing he can do is he might have a cheap card he can play, but otherwise he's just going to have to kind of stand there and take it. He probably should have retreated to save himself 1 health, but it looks like he has a plan. So it's back to the blue player's turn, and he has enough gold again to use every card in his hand if he'd like. What he's going to do though is he's going to kind of shuffle his units around so the offensive ones are on the front line, protecting the supporting units behind. That Viking warriors are just kind of acting as a supportive unit, generating gold from that mountain range. And you see here in the bottom left, the red flashing apple indicates that the blue player is actually now starving. He's got so many units and has so few territories that he's going to food deficit. So what he wants to do is move this back into a region that does produce food. Of course, deserts are not very fruitful. They don't produce any food. And lastly, he's going to bless his men-at-arms there, just so that he doesn't die before the last turn, or before his next turn from the Blessed King's combat. So he's going to finish his turn here, passing it back to red. You're going to see some minor combat happen once again. So the Red King now only generated 2 gold. So he has 17, and he has a huge handful of cards. Now he's going to move back. He's going to retreat, and he's going to shuffle through his hand and find what he wants to burn. He needs to burn something expensive that will not serve him right now. And he's going to make a pretty good choice on that. He's going to burn this fairly expensive card called the Paladins. And the Paladins is expensive to use anyway, because it does generate cards, and those don't really help you if you don't have gold. So he just played the Mountain Giants in the mountains above him, and that is a significant move. The Mountain Giants are so formidable in their own territory. They heal for 2 at the beginning of every combat phase, and that's going to let him throttle a lot of units if the blue player doesn't make some smart moves here, if he doesn't move very tactically. So first he's going to position his monstrosity. This is a special unit, only moves 2 spaces, but instead of taking the mountains to deny him territory, what he's going to do is move it up there to the hills, and that's going to put him between the Mountain Giants and the units that could not take the full brunt of that attack. So he's going to move some of these units back, and he's going to position them behind the monstrosity for protection. And lastly, he wants to move this unit just out of range. There's not enough space behind the monstrosity, so he's going to move him out of range so that the Mountain Giants cannot move left and just take him out in one go. And he has plenty of gold here, but he doesn't have to use it right now. What he's going to do is summon the commander, and I want you to watch Monstrosity's attack as this commander is summoned in the same region. The commander's special ability right there is going to, you see, increase it from 5 to 6. So that's not important for fighting the king because he can only deal 1 damage, but it is significant with the way that he does combat with the Mountain Giants and limiting the Mountain Giants' opportunity to beat him in combat through his healing factor. So it's back to the red player's turn, and you see his king's now suffered enough damage. He only has 2 health left. If he had a Holy Light card in his hand, he could go all the way back up to 8 right now, but he does not, and that's unfortunate. Blessed King can include up to 3 Holy Light cards in his deck, but that doesn't always happen. So he retreats to avoid the immediate loss. And you see here his Mountain Giant here, he cannot put into play because it is of the slowest attack type. If he tried to position it between his king and those offensive units, it would actually perish before it had a chance to attack, even though it's that strong. So you see it's back to the blue player's turn here, and he's going to go ahead and look at that blessing. He's thinking about playing on his monstrosity. The math here is important. Now it has 10 health, and that number is critical because the Mountain Giant attacks for 8 and the King attacks for 1. Being able to survive both of those blows is critical because it is melee. It is a melee attack type, which is the slowest in the game. So he'll be attacking after he's been attacked both times. So the commander, he moves up there to increase the attack again up to 6, and here is where the first strike card really comes in and wins the game for him. Instead of making this the second to last turn, this is the last turn of the game, and you can see the enemy king has only 1 health left, and the rest of the game is just kind of a couple show-off moves, honestly. The blue player has it in the bag. He's going to choose to place the mines just because he can. It's got lots of gold to burn. He could almost place that training camp, could burn it if he felt like for fun, but there's no real point. Here you're going to see the monstrosity be attacked twice. He'll have enough health and he'll strike the king down. So that is a win for the blue. Pretty hard fought fight. It took a lot of attacks on that king to take him out. So thanks for watching, guys. That was a match of King's Conflict. King's Conflict is a free online game. You can download at kingsconflict.com. If you'd like to support King's Conflict, you can share it with your friends, contribute online in the forums, and even design and submit your own maps. We have a blog on how to do that on the website, kingsconflict.com. So go ahead and download it and play today, guys. Thanks.